A lot of things that you can't really learn in school that you only learn on the job. And not just like, how do you get all those things set up? Who do you talk to? Who's the right insurance provider? What insurance do I need? How do I know that what I'm being told to sign up for I actually need and it's a good price?
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast. We are so excited today because we've got someone who everyone has liked to use in the past, and then went off on his own and left us all high and dry to do his own thing, helping more people in a different way than he ever thought. Kevin Miller, will you tell us who you are? I see it's Miller time, and what do you do?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Todd, for having me on. I'm super excited to talk to you and to tell you about my story. So I'm currently the co-founder and CEO of GR0.com. We're a full-service digital marketing agency based here in Los Angeles. And we started as focusing exclusively on search engine optimization. And we've been around for about 3 years. I started the company with my co-founder, John, right before the pandemic. And then what we found was perfect timing. We found that our customers wanted support on other channels. And so we started to add Google ads, Facebook ads, and a myriad of other channels. So now we do 10 different channels for about 250 clients.
Nice. That is awesome 3-year growth in a very difficult industry.
It's not an easy industry. This is not for the faint of heart.
There's a lot of people.
Yep.
Right. It's not for the faint of heart.
I left to be my own boss, and now I have 250 bosses. So that's how that worked out.
I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people who have a job and have never done this before seem to think that it's so easy to be your own boss. But the reality is just what you said.
It's totally that. I've learned that there's trade-offs and there's pros and cons to everything in life. It's never just, one decision is materially better than the other.
Let's talk about some challenges that you've hit. Starting a business always feels like from the outside, oh, dude, it's just perfect. It's like you're your own boss. You're doing all this cool stuff. Talk to us about the challenges you've had to face and overcome as you've been on this growth journey.
Well, there's been a lot of legal challenges. So getting our contracts right, and figuring out what insurances the company needs. What insurances do my employees need? How do I run payroll?
Right.
A lot of things that, you can't really learn in school that you only learn on the job. And not just like, how do you get all those things set up? Who do you talk to? Who's the right insurance provider? What insurance do I need?
Right.
How do I know that what I'm being told to sign up for I actually need and it's a good price? How do I find a good lawyer to write contracts, that are good? And how do I know that they're good? I didn't go to law school. So that's why I mentioned legal. It's very important. Employee contracts, you've got to make sure you're fully buttoned up and you're doing everything by the book, and you are paying, salaries in the right, in the right amount, and everything's equitable. In California, there's no room for error for not being compliant across all the things. And so
no kidding.
It's very important. And that's something that I focus a lot of my time and energies on. And I surround myself with a lot of consultants that are experts in that to make sure we get it right.
Love it. Now, you've talked a few times about kind of your peer network, these people that you've been able to consult with, people that you've been able to, that have been down the path before. I've heard you mention. Talk to us about that, because I can't emphasize enough to people I work with that having a peer group or having people that you can talk to who are other founders is so vital and so important. What have you done to do that?
Well, I've done a great job at networking over the years to meet people that I connect with personally and professionally. And I've fostered really great friendships with a lot of different people that I feel very grateful, to have done. So for example, like there's 2 guys who started another agency that I mentioned that sold right before we started ours, and I'm very close with them personally. And so, they want to help and they want to be involved. And I just have different sort of guardian angels that I've collected over the last, 5 to 10 years of being in business that have really been mentors to me. And I've done everything I can to reciprocate and help them. And it's been mutually beneficial relationship. But I don't operate in a silo. My number one piece of advice for anyone who's listening, who's 10 to 15 employees or who's starting a business, is if you have a problem, go find the person who has done that, been there and done that, and ask them how they did it.
Right.
That's it. hey, I need to
Right.
go set up business insurance. I understand that, your company's been around for 10 years. Who do you go to? Why? Could you introduce me?
Right.
Those are the things that you have to do.
Totally. 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 And I'm curious, as you do that, how often do you hear them say, yeah, I should probably rethink that one?
Never. They always say,
Oh,
I wish I would have done this, if I would have been in your shoes, and, you're smart for saving a lot of time by
right.
just asking me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I can't even tell you how many stupid things I've done in my own business operations. Um, very cool stuff, man. So moral of the story, launching and growing a business to you, it seems to be very natural for you. Is that because of all the founders you've worked with in the past? So what do you accredit that inspiration or that knowledge to?
I think mainly something even higher level and broader, which is just a very competitive nature, wanting to win, wanting to prove to myself, can I
Right.
do it? And everything else kind of falls into place after that. I do think that I'm very good with people and very good with networking and want to make an impact on
Sure.
people's lives in a mutual way. And so that allows me to be
Sure.
successful. This is a
Sure.
people business that I'm in, and that's why it's a sales
100%.
business, and that's why I have a strong forte there. Those are the two of my greatest capabilities. And
Love it.
so, but I think all of it comes down to being consistent, reliable, and competitive to want to see, what else can I accomplish? Because I decided, when I wanted to be an entrepreneur, that I would rather go down this road and have it fail than be on my
Right.
deathbed
Right.
after 50 years at Google wondering what would have happened if I tried to go on my own. Because at that point,
No
once you
doubt.
make money, you realize that didn't even really matter. It was the journey by which you made
Yeah.
the money that made it valuable and memorable and worthwhile. And so that's my advice to
I
younger
love it.
entrepreneurs.
Talk to us about your own growth journey in the business, because a lot of people want to know, like, that transition from being you and your buddy to now having 80 people in such a short period of time. How did you pull that off? Are there some highlights along the way that kind of made things happen a little
Yeah,
bit
it's a
better?
great question. I mean, to recap, we've got 80 full-time employees. We've got about 250 clients.
Yeah.
Last year we did a little over $20 million in annual revenue. And so, thank you, thank you. And
Congrats.
so, it feels like it went by in a blur, since it was just myself and
Right.
my co-founder in my living room, right across the street from where we're sitting
Right.
here. But the truth is, I leaned a lot on advisors who had been there and done that, and I didn't go down a
right.
path with a big thesis without validating it with someone else. That saved me a lot of time and effort.
Cool.
And it really comes down to people. So we did a really good job of hiring good people, and of course we've made mistakes. We've had several people who work here that no
Right.
longer work here because they weren't good, or our interview process didn't catch issues with their capabilities. But
Right.
we've spent a lot of time getting to know our people and getting them bought in and invested and keeping them motivated over time. And that's a huge, huge, huge piece, especially for an agency, because our product
Right.
is our people. We don't have a technology. We are, our people are
Totally.
talking to other
Totally.
people, giving consultation, strategy, running ads, providing analytics, proving ROI. And it all comes down to the responsibility of those individuals who can go and do that work and make sure that they
Right.
make you proud and they conduct themselves in a professional manner. And um, that is a big piece
Totally.
of it. The other big piece is my business partner and I. We both love sales, so we're absolutely tenacious when it comes to selling new business and meeting new people and networking.
Cool.
And it's a very we love it. It just doesn't feel like work to us. We want to help as many businesses as possible, and it's a 7 day a week job,
It's
but we're
awesome.
still young
Right.
enough, motivated enough. We're not, we haven't made millions of dollars yet. So we are, that's
Right.
what we're
Right.
playing for. It's highly motivating.
Cool. I love it. I love it. As you've done that growth, I mean, obviously it is exciting, and you probably haven't taken a second to stop and really recognize what you've accomplished. I'm guessing, most people at this stage of the game, they're still just thinking about,
Yeah.
shoot, we just onboarded this other client. How do we keep them happy? How do we keep them happy?
Yep.
But talk to us about, are there some highlights? You talk a lot about the people. What have you done internally to kind of make that culture? Do you have Do you have core values? Do you have a mission? Do you have a clear statement of what you want to accomplish with your team?
Yes. So we have a mission, we have a vision, we have core values, but
Love
those
it.
are just table stakes. Those things need to be established very early on.
Yeah.
It all comes in down to how we treat people. We treat
Yeah.
others the way we want to be treated, and that's the key. And we have all hands meetings every week. I speak and make a presentation every single week to our entire company.
Love it.
And people really respond well to that because they're kept in the loop. They're kept
Totally.
informed. Their opinion is heard. We do listening tours with every single person in the company to understand their sentiment, what can
Cool.
make them happier in their role. We've built a level system to help them understand what they need to do to get promoted. And we've written it down, and we've let them know, if you get promoted, this is what you're going to receive in terms of future compensation and future opportunities. And so there's just a lot that goes into treating others the way you want to be treated, hearing out your employees. And a lot of people bring ideas to me. Hey, Kevin, it would be a great idea if we did an Ask Me Anything segment with a random employee. Hey, Kevin, it would be great if we did this offsite, if we had this sort of welcome box for new employees where they get a T-shirt and a candle and the employee handbook and all the things we care about a lot of those things that seem like they might be small details, but I mean, right after this meeting, I'm meeting with our office manager to go over how to further enhance the office and make sure everyone has the snacks they want, the drinks they want, the ambiance they want. This is like a top priority for me. You would think that me as the CEO wouldn't care about that. I do. That's a primary focus for me.
I am so glad you're here, and I just wanted to take a few seconds to tell you about a program that we have assembled with a lot of our podcast guests and a lot of people who are listening to the show who are feeling the same way that they do. There's a recurring theme. You'll hear a lot of these founders talk about, I couldn't have done it without my team. I couldn't have done it without a support group of peers. I couldn't have done it without having someone to talk to that understood my feeling of isolation as an operator of my business. You see, you're not alone. It is hard running a business, and it's even harder when you know you can't express all your deepest concerns and frustrations with your executive team. It makes them nervous. It gets them scared. You don't want scared people on your executive team. So where do you turn? The Captain's Council is where you turn. The Captain's Council, it is an organization that we are put together with podcast guests, as well as people who are listening who are in the same boat. You see, peers are the only ones that can give you the type of empathy, the type of advice that only a founder or operator know and understand. Go check it out at captainscouncil.com. I know you're going to love what you see there. We have put together an organizational structure that has small group settings, a global community of founders and operators, as well as monthly and quarterly in-person events. You're going to love what you see there. I can't wait for you to check it out and enjoy the rest of this episode. No doubt about it. So help us understand though, like your business, because agencies take on a lot of different shapes and forms. And I know you said you kind of cover the gamut of different paid ads and different ways to publish stuff, but how did you learn these things? I mean, tell us a little bit about your background before you launched your own agency. Where were you at? What did you do?
So I went to college at Georgetown in Washington, D.C., and I was one of the only kids that didn't want to go to Wall Street. And I knew I didn't want to have a career, living in Excel. It wasn't interesting to me. I got very lucky with my timing because my timing was important. There was 3 guys who were a year ahead of me at Georgetown that started Sweetgreen, which is now a publicly traded entity that, is basically McDonald's for salads. And so I learned that there was another way to be an entrepreneur. And 5 years prior to that, the founder of Living Social, which at the time was the number 2, neck and neck with Groupon, that guy also went to Georgetown. And so I interned there during my sophomore summer in DC. And that was my first foray into real entrepreneurship and working at a technology company. And then I got very fortunate. I went and I interned the following summer in San Francisco, which is the mecca of startups, the motherland of all innovation.
Of course.
And I interned.
Oh, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. And so I interned at True Ventures, which is the venture fund that funded WordPress, Peloton, and a bunch of other companies that are really, really well known. And so I fell in love with it.
It's
I
awesome.
became absolutely fascinated with startup life. And my first job out of college, I was the 10th employee, the only non-engineer. I was hired for marketing for an app that was almost identical to WhatsApp. It was just like WhatsApp. It was called Message Me.
No way.
Yep. And that company got acquired by Yahoo.
What happened to it?
It got acquired by Yahoo.
Okay. Makes sense. All right.
And then it went to yeah. So I just kind of cut my teeth through, in Silicon Valley, and then after that, I got a job at Google, which was the biggest blessing in my life, and
awesome.
I dove headfirst, and I learned everything I possibly could about digital marketing, but specifically we focused on AdWords, paid ads.
Obviously,
and I was building campaigns for clients and getting on the phone with them and working with them and understanding what they needed as a business owner. And it started out as like, a plumber or someone who mom and pop businesses, coffee shops and things like that. And then it graduated to be working on the YouTube campaigns for Uber and Lyft. And so it really, taught me a ton.
Very cool. And all this happened in the Bay Area, or had you moved to other places?
All this happened in the Bay Area, and then I actually quit Google and I went to a marketing boot camp, which was highly controversial at the time. And it was 90 days of intensive work where they teach you the other channels. So I didn't want to be just pigeonholed into just ads. I wanted to learn about SEO, email marketing. I wanted to be what you would call like a full stack growth marketer.
Totally.
My goal was to be a director of growth so that someone could hire me at their company to run all marketing. And that was very important to me. So I did that. So I did that program, and then I went and I worked as the director of growth at a company called Open Listings, which was a very hot startup. It was a part of a Y Combinator. Cool. I did that for 3 years. That brought me to Los Angeles. And then that company was bought by Opendoor, which is now a publicly traded real estate platform.
Nice.
And so, that entire timeline takes us from age 21 to about 26 or 27.
Nice.
And so, I did all of that, and then let's see, I just turned 32.
Nice.
And Grow was about 3 years old. So yeah, we started Grow when I was about 29.
Dude, and you forgot the most important piece of this whole story. Practically, how did you get a 3-digit domain name? 3digit.com.
Well, any internet, entrepreneur and marketing nerd, as I fondly call it, is a fan of short domains.
Right.
It gives you bragging rights. And so, we wanted a name that was synonymous with what we do. Yeah. So I love businesses where you don't have to have any experience with them, but you know what they do.
Right.
And so
right.
Our intention is to grow your business, whether you're big, small, startup, public company, doesn't matter. We want to grow your business. That's why you're coming to us. And that I knew would stay consistent from day one until the last day that this company exists in whatever form it lives on into. Awesome. And so we felt like that was very appropriate for a name, and it was the cheapest version of that name, and we got it.
I love it. So you didn't have to spend $1 million to get it. It was just
no.
Awesome. Well, listen,
it was overlooked.
This is awesome. This is awesome. This is an awesome origination story, awesome birth into what you can now own yourself, and you're not helping someone else build their business. Very cool stuff. I'm curious though, like as you were preparing yourself for this launch and preparing yourself for this business, did you anticipate it happening sooner or later, or did you just always kind of know that at some point you're going to do your own? How did you kind of make the jump?
I knew that at some point I wanted to do my own business. I come from a very entrepreneurial family. Both my dad and brothers are entrepreneurs. So I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs.
Right.
And it was worth it to me to try to go live this type of lifestyle and have this type of career.
Cool.
And I would say, I reached the answer to that question is very tangible. I reached a point in my last job where I didn't see the upward mobility. I didn't see, I didn't have a desire to have the job that my manager had.
Right.
And at that time I was really, really, really invested and proficient in SEO. And I had 2 to 3 clients as a freelancer, that I was starting to work with, and I was delivering real results for them.
Right.
And at the same time, my business partner and co-founder, he was doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
He had 2 to 3 clients as well. So we decided, hey, Let's combine forces. Let's do this agency. One of my good friends had just sold his agency.
Cool.
Right around the time that we started ours. And so I thought, wow, like this is a real viable business opportunity. This can potentially give me the financial freedom that I'm looking for.
There is an exit possibility.
Yeah. It'll give me the opportunity to be an entrepreneur. It just was a little bit different than all the other companies I had worked at because those were technologies that were venture backed. This is a bootstrapped, cash flow positive business. And so it was a big difference, but it turns out that both are unique and good in their own ways and both have their own unique challenges. But we felt like the time was now to seize the opportunity, and luckily it was.
Right on. So my question for you is, a lot of the listeners here have started and built their own companies. They've at least launched. And as they're looking to grow, when I talk to a lot of these guys, they all say, oh yeah, I've got a member of my team who's an awesome marketer. Now, and I know that one person trying to tackle all these types of platforms where they probably need to be relevant, is it possible? Is it humanly possible for someone to do that?
Not possible.
Not possible at all. So how do you approach that topic with people who may be in our audience who are thinking, no, dude, I've got 3 people on my team and they're awesome. What do you tell them? How do you convince them that they need to be using an 80-person team to be able to cover all the bases they need to cover?
Yeah, well, it's very hard to be the best in the world at 10 different things. So, we don't try to do that. I have hired different practitioners who lead our departments, and they have to validate to me that they're really amazing. I mean, I feel like I know everything there is to know about SEO, and even me having been as deep into AdWords as I was for so many years, there's a lot I don't know anymore because it moves so quickly. So I have to interview and vet different people who are absolute subject matter experts, top 1% of their field.
Love it.
And those are the people that end up going on launching departments like the email and SMS department, influencer department, paid social department, creative department, etc. And so I go and find that person, and then I have them work at Grow and launch that division. And so I would caution business owners who think that they're working with someone who might, suggest that they can do all of this. It's very, very rare. I don't think it exists.
I don't think it does, especially right now with the changes in every vertical being so constant. It's almost impossible to stay up with everything. Now, all of us, though, have that peer network. Or most of us do. Is there somebody in your circle that you feel like has particularly been a nice inspiration to kind of get you not only just to launch, but to be successful in what you're doing that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Steve Weiss. He was the former CEO and founder of Mute6, which is a digital marketing agency that sold in 2019. And it was incredibly successful. They were known for Facebook ads. They were the first company in Los Angeles to take on a bunch of businesses to run their Facebook and Instagram ads, which was highly successful. And they had a similar customer segment to us, which is direct-to-consumer e-commerce, which is very popular right now. And he and I fostered a relationship about 10 years ago when he didn't have a penny and neither did I. And so we, bonded over basketball and bonded over digital marketing and hustling and entrepreneurship. And we stayed good friends, even though I was living in San Francisco at the time and he was in Los Angeles. And we've just been big parts of each other's lives. And since he's been down this road, I call him all the time and ask him for advice. And he's,
awesome.
And there's no exchange of like monetary value. He's doing it.
Totally.
And other people do it once they've made it, so to speak, philanthropically, because they remember what it was like to be in your shoes, and it makes them feel good to give back and give advice.
100%. Dude, that's a fantastic shout out. And I totally appreciate him doing that for you. And I hope you turn around and flip it, return the favor to other people that are needing the help.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, dude, Kevin, honestly, this has been a great Miller Time segment. And
thank you very much.
I totally appreciate it. Honestly, as you looking back on what you've been able to do, any last tidbits of advice you think that people who are in this like, crap, how do I let go of certain things phase of their business? What do you recommend to them?
Say the question one more time.
You know, as you've kind of gotten past that point that a lot of people get stuck at, which is founders got to have their fingers in everything.
Yeah.
How do you, any last bit of advice you give to people who are just kind of having that hard time releasing the reins from parts of their business where they really shouldn't be hanging out?
So that's a great question. I mean, if there was the number one thing I struggled with most, it was delegation. And that's it. At a certain point, and my co-founder, I'll credit him with helping me do this. I just had to decide I was going to trust my team, because the reality is a lot of the reasons why people can't relinquish control is their ego will not allow them to do so. They think that
100%.
They're better than other people and no one else can get the job done like them. The reality is that may be partially true, but it's not fully true.
Yeah.
And you can train someone to do different segments of your job perfectly, but you have to be willing to trust the team and let things go. And that's very hard for people to do. But if you can't delegate, you can never have a company that has hundreds of employees, because you can't be everywhere. You're only one human being, male or female. We're all we're all just, we can't multiply ourselves. And so that is an exercise in humility and trusting, other people and being able to train them and believe that, hey, this is the reason I have a team. I believe in my team, and this is how you show you believe in your team. You say, I'm going to trust you to get this done. And so that was a skill that I did not have, that I had to develop. And it drove me crazy at first. So the people who are listening, it will drive you crazy when you see a mistake that someone else made that you wouldn't have made. But you got to push through it and ask yourself, is that mistake going to really cost me anything material? Because oftentimes it doesn't. It can be overlooked. It's a small detail. But what you gain in exchange is far greater. You gain work-life balance. You gain the ability to scale your business, and everything ends up working out one way or another, even if it doesn't look it at the time.
Love it. Such good stuff, Kevin. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate the conversations. I'm assuming you're present on social media.
I am.
Where are you at?
I have a personal website. It's kevinmiller.com.
Awesome.
And my Instagram is kmillertime421, which is the same handle for Twitter. And the website is gr0.com. So if you want to talk more,
love it.
Write in, ask to speak to me, and we'll get on the phone.
Awesome. We'll put everything in the show notes below. Thank you so much for your time today. And I appreciate the good content. Those listening, pay attention. This honestly applies to so many of you out there. And I hope you've learned what you need to get past that next stage and take some big steps in your growth. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did. Honestly, what a great guy. A lot of marketing agency guys on the podcast, but this one in particular, I think has the most succinct mindset for having a kind of a natural knack for knowing how to grow and scale. Not many people enter their own business with as much understanding as he does, and in his ability to embed himself in circles of people who know the answers to the problems he's going to have. Smart guy. Way to go, Kevin. Way to get yourself in position to be able to launch and grow and scale the way that you have with the relationships that you have. For those of you wanting to grow and scale, you have got to nurture relationships with people that you know are going to help you in the future. It's not using people. It's not being a jerk about it, but you help them. I assure you they will help you. And if you're around people that don't do that for you, you're around the wrong people. So enjoy this episode. I hope you enjoy the feedback that you get from him. Please leave feedback below on the episode, what you liked, what you didn't like, what can we do better. Let Kevin know he's an awesome guy by commenting below, and we look forward to catching you on the next episode. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, do so now. Tell your friends about it. We want to grow and we want to continue to help you in your growth journey. So thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next episode.